A warm greetings to one and all children. Today, let us see the second poem, The Laburnum Top by Ted Hughes. The Laburnum Top by Ted Hughes. Let us see about the author. Edward James Hughes was an English poet and children's writer. Critics frequently rank him as one of the best poets of his generation and one of the 20th century's greatest writers. He served as poet laureate from 1984 until his death. In 2008, the Times ranked Hughes fourth on their list of the 50 greatest British writers since 1945. Before entering the poem, let us see the summary of the poem. Ted Hughes starts the poem by describing the scenery of a September afternoon. The top of a laburnum tree is silent and still. Its leaves are turning yellow and all its seeds have fallen. A goldfinch sits on the branch and its sudden chirping sound breaks the silence. Its arrival is alert, abrupt, and sleek like a lizard. Its arrival is alert, abrupt, and sleek like a lizard. It moves towards the thickness of the tree, and the tree starts like a machine. The goldfinch's family lives in the tree, and it is the engine of the tree. The family runs the machine, that is, the tree fills it with noise and activity. The tree is filled with high-pitching chittering sounds and it starts shaking. The goldfinch is the engine of her family because without her, her family cannot survive. After feeding them, the goldfinch moves to the end of the branch and flies away into the vast infinite sky, leaving the tree empty and silent as it was originally before. Now, let us see the central idea of the poem. In this poem, the poet has used the laburnum tree and the family of a goldfinch as a symbol of life and its variations. He beautifully describes the arrival of the goldfinch on the laburnum tree. The tree becomes alive when the chicks start chirping. The poet is trying to convey the message that life is a process of change and a transformation. The goldfinch brings cheer, happiness, and mirth to the simple and inanimate surroundings. Its happiness is infectious and all encompassing. The Laburnum Tree is a beautiful poem in which the poet has used the laburnum tree and a goldfinch as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. In this poem, the poet describes how the visit of a goldfinch changes the laburnum tree. The goldfinch transforms the tree and makes it come alive as the chicks of the goldfinch start to rustle and chirp on seeing her. That is the mother goldfinch. Once the goldfinch leaves the tree, it becomes quiet and still again. The laburnum tree symbolizes the pattern of our life in general, which is usually dull and inanimate. The goldfinch breaks the usual pattern and makes it lively. Without the goldfinch, the laburnum tree is just like another tree. In other words, it is the attitude of the person towards life that makes life meaningful and worth living. Let us enter the poem now. The laburnum tree is silent, quite still. In the afternoon, yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. The poet describes a beautiful sunny afternoon. The laburnum tree is silent and still. It is laden with yellow leaves and yellow flowers in September. Its leaves have turned yellow because of the autumn season, and all its seeds have fallen. Going to stanza 2. Till the goldfish comes with a twitching chirp, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end, then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness and a machine starts up. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings, the whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She stalks its full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. Just then, a goldfinch lights on the laburnum tree, makes short, high-pitched sounds. The goldfinch has her nest in the tree, and her chicks are resting in the nest. On the mother's return, a sudden movement stirs the tree. Her little ones are excited on her arrival and start chirping. The cautious mother enters the tree with great care so that no predators can come to know that her babies are housed in the nest. The poet has compared the alert, abrupt, and sleek movement of the goldfinch with that of a lizard. The goldfinch has been called the engine of a family. Just as the engine starts up, the machine, her arrival in the nest, has suddenly started up. The silent machine, that is the nest, the young ones have started chitterings and making noise. By feeding her young ones, she has added fuel to the machine, and as a result, the chicks now have the energy to be active and make noise. After feeding her chicks, the goldfinch flies up and rests on the end of the branch of the tree, her identity concealed behind the yellow flowers and yellowing leaves. The next stanza. Then, with airy, delicate whistle chirp up, whistlings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. After some time, the goldfinch makes a strange, short, high-pitched sound. Then she flies away towards the infinite sky. The laburnum tree becomes silent again after the departure of the goldfinch, and everything seems to be the same as it was before the arrival of the goldfinch. Let us see the poetic devices used in the poem. There is a simile there. In the figure of speech, one thing is compared to another. An example of simile in this poem is, it is as sleek as the lizard. And the metaphor is, a figure of speech or a word or phrase is used to represent something else. Examples of metaphor in this poem are engine of a family, where engine represents the mother goldfinch, the machine, which represents the nest with its brood of bird chicks. Alliteration. In this figure of speech, a number of words having the same first consonant sound occur close together in a series. Examples of alliteration in this poem are September sunlight, a suddenness, a startlement, and alert and abrupt, and tree trembles and thrills. We have onomatopoeia here. In this figure of speech, a word is formed from a sound similar to it. Examples of onomatopoeia in this poem are twitching chirp, chittering, trilling, and whistle chirp. And we have transferred epithet also. A transferred epithet is a description which refers to a character or event but is used to describe a different situation or character. Her barred face identity mask is an example of transferred epithet in this poem. The flower of the laburnum tree falls like bars, and when the bird sits behind the flowers, the shadow of the flowers on her face looks like she is wearing the mask that has bars on it. Let us recapitulate the poem once again. For recapitulation, the laburnum top, a name of the poem written by Ted Hughes, a very famous poet, and you can see the face of Ted Hughes here and the flowers of the laburnum tree here. Let us see about the poet. Ted Hughes was a British poet. He was born on 17th August in 1930 in Yorkshire in England. According to the critics, he is the best of his generation and one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. He was married to American poet Sylvia Plath from 1956 until 1963. His last poetic work, Birthday Letters, dealt with their relationship. His first collection, The Hawk in the Rain, was highly acclaimed. However, probably Crow was his most significant work. Hughes' early poetic works dealt with nature and savagery of animals. He served as poet laureate of the United Kingdom from 1956 until his death in 1998. This is about the poet Ted Hughes, a very famous poet of British. And you can see a laburnum tree over here, the laburnum top by Ted Hughes, the name of the poem. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon, yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirp, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She stalks in full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face, identity mask. Then with airy delicate whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. We find the theme of the poem here. The theme of the poem is regeneration of nature and the celebration of energy. The laburnum tree is silent until the goldfinch comes and enlivens the tree with its activities. There are all sorts of sounds and startlements. Soon she shoots away into the sky, plunging the tree into surging silence. The style of the poem, it is written in free verse, free from any limitations or rhyme or regular meter. And let us see the summary of the poem once. The laburnum top is silent, quiet and still. It is September afternoon, full of sunlight. It is autumn season. The laburnum tree is full of yellow leaves. All the seeds of the laburnum tree have fallen. Soon a goldfinch comes. It starts twitching. Twitching is moving and chirping. All of a sudden, there is movement in the end of the branch. Just like a lizard, smooth, alert and abrupt, she is mentioned as the mother goldfinch, enters the thick part, the foliage of the tree, the center of the tree, the branches. A machine of chittering, shaking and wobbling starts up on the tree top. The whole tree starts shaking. The nest is the machine, and the goldfinch is the engine of her family. She feeds the nestlings as if she adds fuel to the machine, then moves out to the end of the branch, showing her stripped face. Then with a strange soft chirping whistle, she flies away towards the sky. The laburnum tree once again becomes silent. Let us see the meaning of the words here mentioned in the poem. Laburnum, a small European tree which has hanging clusters of yellow flowers, followed by slender pods containing poisonous seeds. Goldfinch, a small brightly colored bird with yellow feathers, twitching, moving suddenly and quickly. Chirp up, short, high-pitched sound of birds. Startlement, amazement, surprise. Chittering, making a twittering or chatting sound. Tremor, quiver, slight shaking movement. Trilling, repeated, making short sounds. Short and high sounds. trembles and trills, quivers and shakes. Engine, goldfinch, she is compared to the engine. She is the mother bird there. Stalks, feeds the nestlings. Flirts, moves abruptly. Barred, having stripes. Let us see the poetic devices in this poem. The laburnum top is silent, quite still is a personification there. And the September sunlight is an alliteration, and chirp up is onomatopoeia. Sleek as a bird is a simile, and alert and abrupt is assonance over here. And the machine is a metaphor, and chittering is onomatopoeia. Again, trilling we have as onomatopoeia, and engine as a metaphor because the mother goldfinch is compared. And then whistle and chirp up or onomatopoeic words. And find out what is laburnum called in your language. It is called amstor, which have laburnum or golden shower tree. It is the state flower of Kerala. The scientific name of this flower is Cassia pistula. Which local bird is like the goldfinch? The Indian house sparrow has some similarity with the goldfinch. However, house sparrow is reddish brown in color, but goldfinch is yellow. Both of them belong to the finch family. Think out, what do you notice about the beginning and the ending of the poem? The beginning and the ending of the poem expresses the solitude of the laburnum tree. The very first line of the poem depicts the silence of the laburnum tree. Similarly, the last line concludes in the emptiness, makes the silence of the laburnum tree. To what is the bird's movement compared? What is the basis for the comparison? The poet has compared the bird's movement with that of a lizard. The movement of a lizard is sleek, sudden, and abrupt. Exactly, the goldfinch had the same movement when it perched on the laburnum tree. Why is the image of the engine evoked by the poet? The poet has metaphorically used the goldfinch as the engine of a family, as a machine. Soon after she feeds, that is, stocks the family with the energy, there is chittering, tremor, and trilling. The whole tree comes to life. What do you like most about the poem? Laburnum Tree Top is an exquisite presentation of relationship between the goldfinch and the laburnum tree. I like the way Ted Hughes has brought animal symbolism in the poem to depict the relation between the bird and the tree. The serenity of the environment contrasted with chirpy sonorous and attracts me a lot. What does the phrase her barred face identity mask mean? The goldfinch shows a striped face which looks like a mask for her. In fact, goldfinch has brown and black patch of color on the face like a mask. Let us see the values highlighted in the poem. At the start of the poem, the laburnum tree, we find the tree is very silent and still. It has hardly any activity of as the sunlight falls on it on a September afternoon. However, with the arrival of the goldfinch, it suddenly becomes a place of feverish activity. The silence of the place is broken by the twittering and chirping of the chicks and the goldfinch. I think that the change brought about by the arrival of the goldfinch on the laburnum tree is good, as it breaks the monotony. The tree becomes alive and lively with the movement of the goldfinch and the twitterings and chirpings of the chicks. Change can be good or bad in life depending on the situation. However, the fact is that change is the only constant thing in life. So even if a change is bad, we have to accept it and move on with life. The goldfinch has its nest on the laburnum tree, and the chicks stay in the nest while she, the mother, keeps going out at regular intervals to feed the chicks. This shows her caring nature and highlights the value of motherly care and affection of a mother towards her offspring. The other aspect of goldfinch that is compared in the poem is its movement. She arrives at the laburnum tree in a sudden manner and is very much alert about her surroundings. The poet has compared her movement with the sleek movement of a lizard. There is a reason for her moving like that in an alert and sudden manner. She is moving in this manner so as to avoid getting noticed by any other predators. She doesn't want any predator to know that her chicks are resting in her nest on the laburnum tree, as then the predators may kill her or harm them. The values of safety and security of her offspring is highlighted in the act of gold flint. So, children, just go through the poem once, twice, thrice, then listen to this audio and look at these videos. You'll be able to understand this lesson even more better. Thank you, children. Thank you, one and all.